couple of noteworthy programs across the college football world that are going to be starting a new quarterback in 2025. And I want us to just slowly but surely walk through what we can expect from some of these first-year starting quarterbacks, because I think let's be honest here. However these different quarterbacks play at places like Alabama, Oregon, Texas, that's going to have a massive impact on what the college football playoff picture looks like, what the regular season picture looks like. So I want to just give my own personal expectations for what I'm thinking is going to happen between some of these starting quarterbacks, these different spots. Now, Ty Simpson's a really interesting one to break down because the sample size on him is extremely, extremely small from his playing time in Tuscaloosa. But I'm using the context clues when I set my expectations for Ty Simpson. If Ty Simpson wasn't able to run the Kalen DeBoer, Ryan Grubb system, he would not still be in Tuscaloosa. That's my own personal feel. Because Ryan Grubb comes over from the NFL level, previously was at Washington with Kalen DeBoer. I've said it many times, the Batman to Kalen DeBoer's Batman. The offense you saw last year under Kalen DeBoer with Jalen Milroe was not the go-to Kalen DeBoer system. Now, I think there were some things that Jalen Milroe was able to do that, elevated the offense in some ways in different spots, but it felt like you were driving stick all the time, wasn't it? It was like, well, when his legs are rolling, we're awesome. When he can't run the football, we don't have another pitch. So what I'm expecting from Ty Simpson, to get to my main point here, I'm expecting Ty Simpson to unlock the version of Kalen DeBoer's offense that he was hired for when he got hired over from Washington. What I just said, if he couldn't do that, if we didn't have the arm talent to push it downfield, if he couldn't make his layups in the pass game, he would not still be in Tuscaloosa. So this is a quarterback battle that's still ongoing, obviously. Will go on throughout the rest of fall camp. But I am assuming, for the sake of this conversation, Ty Simpson starts for you day one at Alabama in the game against Florida State on the road. And I think it's going to be, again, that offense that you got fired up about when Kalen DeBoer was hired over from that team that played for a national title out there at Washington. Dante Moore. Going to be your starter, more than likely, over there at Oregon. I know they're still discussing that as a quarterback battle of sorts. He's going to start for you. My expectation for him is the expectation that's been set there from Bo Nix to Dylan Gabriel. I expect Dante Moore to be a Heisman finalist. I do. Like it sounds like we're asking a lot of the guy. Are we? Is he any less talented from a physical gifting standpoint than a Dylan Gabriel? I don't think so. Got a full year in the system. Dylan Gabriel had all of a spring and a fall camp to get dialed in. All the boxes are checked for me. I think that when you look at the weapons around him, that's something to monitor. But I love all the clues with Dante Moore as well. Like the fact that Oregon not just brought him over to sit for a year, and Dante Moore, to his credit, decided to sit for a year as well. They brought him over to sit for a year and decided to pay him for a year while he was sitting. You know how much you got to believe in a guy to pay for a player that's not actually going to play for another season? So Dante Moore, I'm excited about what he's going to bring to the table. I think he's going to be a guy that is ultimately, again, a Heisman Trophy finalist and just continues to live up to the bar that has been set at the quarterback position there by Will Stein, by way of Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel, with them both being Heisman Trophy finalists each of the last two seasons. Staying in the Big Ten, I've said this before, but I'll say it again. Julian Sayin, my expectation for him, assuming he wins the job out there in Columbus, and I think based on that spring game, you should feel pretty confident he will be your starting quarterback if you're an Ohio State fan. My expectation for him is to lead the Big Ten in passing. Ohio State's had a quarterback lead the Big Ten in passing every single year but one since 2018, and that one season was the year that Kyle McCord started for you at quarterback. He finished second in the Big Ten and then led the entire country in passing a year ago. It is the deepest wide receiver room in all of college football. And also, you'll have a wide receiver at heart calling the offense in Brian Hartline now being elevated to be your guy. So, Julian's saying, when you talk about the kind of offense they'll run, they're going to throw it around what I just said. And also, he can make all the throws from what I could gather when I watched him in the spring game. Are there some things you got to refine, some things you got to clean up, be more consistent at? 110%. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's anything physically down the field or from an arm talent perspective that he is lacking. So Julian saying expectation, lead the Big Ten in passing, and Ohio State obviously will benefit in a massive part because of that. Arch Manning. What do we expect from Arch Manning, huh? It's very difficult to have this conversation around a guy who's only played a small sample size of football as well, but I think everyone is so quick to say Arch Manning is going to be the number one pick next year, lead Texas to a national championship and all those things. Those both may happen. my own expectations are a little bit more tempered. I expect Arch Manning to be good from the jump, had time in the system, physical tools, all that gets you excited. I think he'll be good and evolve to great, right? Like that's kind of what I think is fair to expect from a one Arch Manning. Because what don't you trust about Arch if you're an Arch naysayer? Or just if you're going to be just, let's dial it back a little bit. If you're just watching college football and you are a college football fan and you're a Hokie fan for Virginia Tech and you're like asked your opinion of Arch Manning, I think you say, well, I love the pedigree with the last name. I love the fact that he plays in a Steve Sarkisian offense, had time to sit, all that. Guy was a 5-star, so he's probably got some pretty good tools. What I think you're still waiting to see from Arch Manning is the chops, right? Like, can he actually do it in the course of an entire college football season? Can he do it from week 1 to week 12 when they play A&M? How does he play from a week-in to week-out basis when the offense is actually tailored to him, defenses can plan for him, things of that nature? And so my assessment of this is I think he'll be in a situation to have success right away to some respects because of Steve Sarkisian calling the offense, because he has a defense to lean on and all those things. But I think the more experience he gets that you just quite frankly can't account for, the more time he gets under tension, the more live bullets, all those cliches, I think by nature of just what we know about the Manning pedigree, I think he'll take that and be successful because of that. So when I look at Texas and their path, like I'd love to see Texas overall throughout the course of this season, when they get to, like October, late October, they have a stretch where they play at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, and Vanderbilt. I'd love to see Steve Sarkisian in that 3-game stretch really push Arch Manning for growth. Like if we're going to open up the game plan, let's do it against Kentucky on the road. You're on the road, so there's a little bit of like, okay, are we able to handle the environment, whatever Lexington, Kentucky brings for you from an external circumstances perspective. But like that should be a spot where you have a pretty good safety net underneath you to open it up. Let's build some confidence. Let's be a little bit more downfield. Let's be a little bit aggressive. Let's let Arch rev the engine a little bit in that situation. Because when you get to the game at Georgia, you got Arkansas, and then you play A&M to finish the year. That last 3-game stretch, we got to be go mode. It's go time at that point. So for Arch Manning, again, my expectation, he's good. Doesn't have to be great right away. Just be good. You'd like to see more really good in the game against Ohio State, but good then evolve to great by the time it's SEC title time and college football playoff time. Austin Simmons is a super exciting first-year starting quarterback that I think maybe gets a little bit under-talked about. Hand up, that's on me as well. Like, you talk about Dante Moore and saying and Manning and the Alabama quarterback situation. Austin Simmons put on a Mona Lisa of a drive against Georgia when Jackson Dart went down in the first quarter in that game a year ago. People forget now, too. Georgia was up in that game when Austin Simmons came into the football game, down 7-0. And just, the drive itself was awesome. Led a phenomenal scoring drive to tie it up. But my expectations for him, quite frankly, are more of what you saw in that drive against Georgia. Why? Because that proved to me, against 5-star competition on the defensive side of the football for Georgia, Austin Simmons can hang. He can do it. He's got the physical tools. He's got the poise, all those things. The other part of this, too, that should not be overlooked is the fact that on that drive, when Jackson Dart goes down, kind of a ugly weather kind of game, a little bit of rain, could imagine the ball maybe being a little bit slick. Again, down 7-0. You would not fault Lane Kiffin if he just said, hey, Austin, let's just like get out of this drive, get you comfortable, run the football a little bit, we'll punt it away. Let's just kind of take a breath here. Lane Kiffin came out swinging on that drive. I mean, they threw the football multiple times, a couple of big throws from Austin Simmons, one of which being a 20-yard completion. Like Austin Simmons was dealing on that drive, and Lane Kiffin was not pulling the reins back. Instead, he was pushing the gas forward. Tells you everything you need to know about what Lane Kiffin thinks about Austin Simmons, and we should trust Lane Kiffin when it comes to assessing quarterbacks. He's had some good ones. So my expectation, again, for Austin Simmons, more of what we saw against Georgia, because he's proven he can do it. Gunnar Stockton, speaking of Georgia, it's funny to assess him because I don't think Georgia's going to be a air-it-out kind of team in 2025. Not to say that they won't have games where they have to do that, but I think what you expect from Gunnar Stockton is to bring the edge back to Georgia. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of an unquantifiable thing to talk through, but Georgia last season, it didn't feel very eat-off-the-flourish. Did it? Like Carson Beck, as good of a quarterback as he is, as good as I think he's going to be at Miami, kind of seems like he fits more of what Miami is than what Georgia is, no? Like the Lambos and, the chain and all that. Like, Gunnar Stockton's a dude who's waited his turn. I keep saying got decapitated against Texas and popped up and walked off the field. Like, he's got some more of that grit to him. And so who your quarterback is, and a lot of times is going to be who your leadership is. Who your leadership is who your team ultimately takes on persona-wise. I just want to see Gunnar Stockton just bring that grit back to Georgia. Like, Georgia's at their best when they're running the football. Gunnar Stockton will, I think, in large part factor in to helping elevate the run game. Not saying he goes and gets 10-plus carries a game, but like just to have the quarterback run game a part of the equation for Mike Bobo, that's going to yield to, I think, good results for Georgia ultimately when it comes to what they do on offense. So for me, Gunnar Stockton, make Georgia edgy again on offense. That's what I'm looking for from him, and that should, I think, ultimately allow Georgia to get back to the form they want to be at, which is competing for national championships. C.J. Carr, last one to talk about here. Similar to Ty Simpson, I want to see C.J. Carr, my expectation for C.J. Carr, is to unlock the weapons for Notre Dame offensively. This is a battle that still has to be won. Him and Kenny Minchie going back and forth. I'm sure that'll go through fall camp. But last year, Notre Dame, they were really good offensively. Scored over 30 points a game, obviously played for a national championship, but they weren't really all that dynamic. They were great on defense, so they could afford to make it kind of a rock fight kind of game, but like they averaged 7 yards a pass, 74th in America. If Notre Dame's more dynamic, again, I'm not saying they beat Ohio State, but they don't go down to the deficit they did early on in that football game and have to climb their way out of it. Like, if C.J. Carr can unlock how good Jaden Greathouse is going to be, how good Malachi Fields is going to be, how good Will Pauling is going to be, like, if he can elevate all their wide receiver talent and you also have Jeremiah Love to run the football, at that point, Notre Dame can start to win some of those shootouts, answer scores, and they're going to be a difficult team to stop. So for C.J. Carr, my expectation is he is that version of what you would hope your quarterback's going to be in Mike Denbrock's offense, who wants to throw it right around 30 times a game. So, again, I think he wins the job, but, man, my expectation for him is to, again, make the offense a little bit more vertical. So should be a lot of fun. Excited for that one, but some first-year starting quarterbacks, man, across the country, some very big spots that you would expect to compete for college football playoff berths in 2025.